Ok. Bueno, bien, ya está todo pronto. Don está listo. Muy brevemente, Don, I already told you this little story about how we ended up doing this.
You want to tell them that story? You want me to tell them a little bit? What do you want to
Well, no, well, you go ahead. You want to tell the story?
I'll include it in my...
Ok. Muy rápidamente, Don tenía una idea en el aire y un día en Dreamforce, en la Keynote, estaba Benioff hablando y se me sienta al lado, me da un codo y me dice, tengo una idea. Y bueno, esta es la historia que... This is the story that you're going to tell.
I'll tell it.
Señores, Don Robbins, después vuelve un ratito más y ya nos despedimos al cierre de la conferencia. Gracias.
Gracias. So I promised Aldo I would make this as quick as possible because I know how exhausted everyone is. I can see it in your eyes. When I teach for 5 days in a row. So if you think one day is hard, imagine this for 5 days. And in Dreamforce, you can start and stop. When you take a class with me, you cannot stop. So I will make this quick. When I talked with Aldo back at Dreamforce this last year, we talked about coming down to do the microservices presentation, and I know some of you were probably in my microservices. Could you hold up your hand if you were in my microservices? Okay, good. And then he mentioned, I don't have anyone for the closing keynote. And I said, well, I'm more than happy to give you 2 for 1. But I have an idea for the closing keynote. And he said, well, let me hear your idea. And I sent him the idea, and he said, please do the closing keynote. So I agreed, and I've been working on it, but I had a very difficult time finding a title for it. This is the title that I settled on. Formulas for Success, Lessons for Achieving Goals. Goals, a very important word, on the Salesforce platform. But then I was thinking, I wanted to try and abstract the concept of success, make it like a formula, but I thought, well, maybe expression would be a better way or a better title. So I thought, well, expressions for success. And then I thought about expressions, and it's like, no, that's not really it. Maybe it's an algorithm for success. But the problem with algorithms is they branch. And what I'm talking about doesn't branch. It just calculates. And not only that, algorithms for success sounded too close to this, to algorithms for success. And I said, no, I can't do that. That'll upset Aldo. So I went back to Formula for Success. So that's the title. All right. So this is a forward-looking statement, but this is not the one you saw before. This is my forward-looking statement, and primarily it's that. I am extremely opinionated. I am extremely opinionated, and I assume no obligation for your personal success based on my opinions, which is what this presentation is all about. It's my opinions, and I'm very biased, if you know what bias means, all right? I think it's, how do you say bias in Spanish? Bias, good, excellent. So it's on you, and I do have this in Spanish, thanks to Google Translation, so you can glance at it, it says the same thing, okay? This is my forward statement. Okay, so normally I do not do this. When I present, I do not say, hey, I'm this, I'm that, I've been here, I've been there. I just say I'm an MVP and I teach and I've been a developer. But for this presentation, because it's based on my opinions, my extremely opinionated and biased opinions, I felt it important for you to know where I come from and what I do and how much I do it, because that's what forms my opinions. So I figured this might give me some validation. I am a 5-time MVP. I call myself a technical educator. I still teach. I don't teach as much, but I'm involved with people who teach Salesforce. I have a team. I'm a partner. I'm an advanced certified developer, now called Platform 2. I've been a teacher for the Salesforce platform since 2011. I've also been a facilitator for the Architect Board Review, if anybody knows about the architect journey in Salesforce and what a certified technical architect is, which is sort of the top certification, someone who really understands architecture, and I've been involved with that program for a couple of years. I work internally with Salesforce as what's called a subject matter expert, a SME, S-M-E. I help Trailhead team, I build content, I built the super badge for the data integration super badge. Salesforce in Practice book, I author courses on Pluralsight, particularly around conversation around technology, because I'm a very strong believer in conversation as a learning mechanism. We're going to talk about that. So I've done a whole pile of stuff. So basically, anybody see this movie? You know this movie? Scent of a Woman, great tango scene. If you have never seen this movie with Al Pacino, who plays Colonel Slade, a Vietnam veteran, and he's blind. And at one moment he stands up, he's in a sort of a debate, and he says, "I've been around, you know." I've been around. So that's my point. I just want you to know that when you listen to my opinions. Great movie, go see it. All right, so we hear a lot about success. Customer success platform, it's true. You hear it's true, you hear and see the different aspects of success on Salesforce, the customer success, the community, nonprofit success pack, testing for success, success cloud, success this, success that, success that. What is success? What is success? We don't really hear about what do we mean by success, and how do you achieve success? We know it's there, we know it's real, but nobody ever really gets into the nitty-gritty, the details about what is success and how it is actually achieved. And I've been thinking about this a lot because I educate a lot, and I focus on education, and education is a major part of success. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be neat if we could break down success into a formula? And the definition of success in English is the accomplishment of a desired goal. Now that, of course, assumes that you know that there is a goal and you know what the goal is, and if you can accomplish the goal, you have achieved success, okay? Now, what's the goal? Well, that's the consultant's answer, right? If you're a consultant, somebody says, well, how do I do this? How long will it take? You say, well, it depends. The goal depends on what you decide your goal is. If you achieve your goal, you've been successful in that goal, but the goal is abstract. It's like a variable. It doesn't matter what the goal is, right? The goal is yours. And it really doesn't matter what it is. You can still define what success is, achieving it, and you can still break down how to achieve it, even though you don't know what the goal is. How do you achieve it? Well, there's a formula, and I have conceived of the formula. Ready? That is the formula for success. That's it. There isn't anything other than that. Okay, we're done. We can go party now. Okay? No, of course, I'm going to break it down. How many of you know this formula? Raise your hand. How many of you know it? How many of you understand it? Is there anybody in the room who can tell me what this means? Not read it to me. Can somebody read it to me? One of you guys, read me that formula. Right, those are the variables. What do they mean?
Energy, mass, speed of light.
Energy equals mass times the speed of light to the second power, or squared. You can read the formula, I can read the formula, but do you understand what the formula means? No, you don't. How about that one? This is a different Einstein. This is Einstein, right? This is the real Einstein, not the character Einstein. This is a theory of relativity. This is another of his what are called field equations. There's 10 of them. If you can imagine, they're worse than that. This girl is in the Philippines. She's a teenager. She was in high school. She joined a competition to explain the equivalent of reference frames, which is what that's about. And she succeeds in under 3 minutes to explain the theory of relativity and what it has to do with reference frame on a YouTube video, and she won $250,000. This girl is expert enough to explain what that means. And I'm going to suggest some homework to you. I like giving homework out. Go to this bit.ly, Relativity Explained on bit.ly, and watch that video. And at the end of the 3 minutes, it's in English, so maybe that will be difficult for some of you, but if you speak English, you'll get it. And I don't even think you'll need to speak English well to get this. First time in my life, I understand what the theory of relativity is and what reference frames are. When I watched less than 3 minutes, this girl is expert enough to get her point across. Important concept about experts. We're going to put that in the back of your head. We're going to come back to it a little bit later. So let's talk about this formula. Because just like this formula, you can read it, but you really don't know what the variables are. Don't you love developers who create variables with one character? It's probably better to use some mnemonic. We call that a mnemonic, having a variable that actually has a meaning to it, and we use the first letter. Energy equals mass times c, of course, the speed of light. Why did he choose c? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to start breaking this formula down, because any formula you have to break down the variables, you have to have understanding of what the variable is, and you have to understand what's in the variable, right? Because a variable is variable, right? That means it can change value. So I'll give you the first one. S is success. That's easy peasy. And theoretically, this will evaluate and result in success. So we've got two other variables. We've got O and we've got Y. Y is the variable for the exponent value, the exponential value. O is being raised to the power of Y. That's how we would read that as a formula. So what the heck is Y? Okay? Well, Y is another formula. O plus P plus D times K. That's easy. Okay, let's break it down. Opportunity. Now we're getting somewhere. Now this is not an opportunity object in Salesforce. Okay, this is an opportunity. We've heard this word today. I've heard this word numerous times since I arrived in Uruguay, talking to some of my Salesforce colleagues and some of the other speakers, and it keeps popping up. And it was in Sophia's presentation this morning, and I suspect it may have been raised at other times as well. Passion. I'm in Latin America. I shouldn't have to explain what passion is, but we're going to talk about it. Determination. Determination, and the multiplier is knowledge. Now, there's a difference between these variables which are being summed together, and that variable, which is a multiplier, has a much bigger effect, right? And that's why I express it that way. But that is what makes up the Y variable. Let's break each one down. What is opportunity? Well, in English, opportunity is defined as a situation or condition favorable for attainment of a goal. There's that goal again. The goal that you want to achieve success. Well, in order to achieve success, you got to get the goal done. Well, in order to have a goal, you got to have an opportunity. And the opportunity will be the situation or condition that's favorable, will actually help you achieve your goal. Okay? Well, we know, and we've been talking about it since this morning. I think that's why you're all here, right? Salesforce provides all sorts of opportunities. I don't have to drum this into your head. And this is an infographic from the last Dreamforce, and it basically, those little bubbles, I know you can't read it, but the bubbles are the growth of the economy around Salesforce Cloud Computing. And the other one, I can't remember which is which, I can look on my screen, but one is the number of jobs that will be generated by that growth in Salesforce Cloud Computing. Basically, this is opportunity, okay? So again, I'm not going to drum this into your head. But I could also shape a formula around opportunity, projects over customers. There's that multiplier, Salesforce. Okay, so that's opportunities. And notice a little green badge up here. I'm going to rank these with level of effort. How much effort do you have to put in to achieve that opportunity? It's a 1. The opportunity is there. It's there, ready to be picked. Okay, so that's an assumption. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about passion. Passion. What is passion? And I'm not talking about the kind in the movies. Passion is a powerful or compelling emotion or feeling. Okay? Passion should not be followed blindly. It should be correlated with opportunity. If you have passion, you want to mate it with opportunity, which is associated with your goal. Put your passion to work to achieve your opportunity. That's how you will use passion to achieve your goal. Aristotle said it 2,000 years ago. You know Aristotle, the Greek philosopher and scientist. At the intersection where your gifts, your talents, your abilities, which are part of your passion, meet a human need. They meet a human need, opportunity. Therein you will discover your purpose. And when you satisfy your passion, there is no greater feeling in the world. That's my formula for passion. Talent plus skills over age, and age is something I know about, okay? Times dreams. Dreams is the multiplier here. That's what makes passion. Now, where do talent and skills come from? There's a difference between talent and skills. Skills are things typically you learn, you pick up over time. You're not born skilled. The only skill you're born with is to cry, to eat, and other things, right? Talent is something you're born with. And talent, where does talent come from? Nobody knows. I believe that talent is genetic. I think it's organic. I look back at my talents and I look back at my familial ancestors and I see very interesting parallels. And it's a very interesting thing to study and to think about. You may never know the answer, but it is an interesting thing to explore and to think about because you want to know what your passions are because you want to match them with the opportunities to chase your goals. okay, to find your success. Age is really important because your passions change as you age. You might still be passionate about something you were passionate about as a child, or not. It's unpredictable. But age definitely plays a factor. You become interested in things that you never thought you'd be interested in as you age. And dreams change over time, and sometimes they don't. So they're all variable. That's why they're in a formula. I gave passion a 1. As long as you pay attention to it and identify them, they're just there. So it's a 1. Let's move on to determination. What is determination? A firmness of purpose, the resolve to do something. Now this is a little harder. I've had conversations about this too in the last few days. Stepping up, facing fear, overcoming adversity, doing it when you didn't think you could. That's determination. Last year at Forcelandia, which is actually where I first met Aldo, Jeff Douglas. Do you guys know who Jeff Douglas is? He now works for Salesforce, the Trailhead Evangelist, and Jeff's been around for many years. He was an MVP, worked for Aperio, and he did the closing keynote at Forcelandia last year. And he did a wonderful presentation. I'm not going to go too far into it, but this came up as one of his slides because he was talking about his dreams and achievement of his dreams. And he said, if your dream isn't scary, it isn't big enough. Your dream needs to be scary, or it's too little. It won't mean anything when you achieve it unless it's scary. Well, if it's scary, it's going to be hard. You're going to have to face fear and face risk. Well, you need determination to do that. This is a harder level of effort. I give it a 2, twice passion and opportunity. There's my formula for determination: faith that you can do it, integrity that you will do it right, tempered by humility. Humility is such an important quality. If you are humble in your abilities, without being overly humble and not being too egotistical, you don't have to like, yeah, I can, you know, I'm great, that kind of ego. You want to well balance your ego. You want to temper your integrity and your faith and your drive with humility. That's the multiplier. You have to be brave. Okay? So there's my formula for determination, which I give an effort of 2. All right, now here we get down to business. And this is my turf. Knowledge is my turf. I call it my territory. What is knowledge? Facts, information, skills, acquired by a person through both experience or education. Now, in the Salesforce world, it's not an or. It's not a Boolean or. It's really a Boolean and. You're not going to be truly knowledgeable about Salesforce unless you have both. You have to experience Salesforce in order to truly be knowledgeable about Salesforce. So just take mind of that. This is the definition that I found. But that really is and in the Salesforce world. The theoretical or practical understanding of a subject, but be careful. Knowledge and wisdom are 2 different things. We're not going to talk much about wisdom. That's a whole other presentation. Suffice to say, knowledge is the facts, information, and skills that you acquire. You go out and you get it. Wisdom is what you have when you've worked with that knowledge over time and learn about that knowledge and how to best apply it in a practical application to be successful. Right? We're not talking about wisdom, we're talking about knowledge. Now, all right, we're focusing on Salesforce. And by the way, I gave knowledge a 3. It's the hardest of all of them. The key is, how and where do you acquire Salesforce knowledge? Again, this is my territory, okay? I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten into conversation with people new to Salesforce, say, how do I learn Salesforce? How do I learn Salesforce? How do I learn Salesforce? And I say, well, what about Salesforce? Well, Salesforce. How do I learn Salesforce? All right, we have lots of content to support learning Salesforce. Trailhead content. I call this Trailhead content. Trailhead modules, projects, super badges. We have trail mixes, we have trails, we have the custom trails, which is a trail mix. We have lots of Trailhead content, a huge amount of Trailhead content. Documentation, we still got documentation, and we still got lots of books out there. So that's definitely available. Online webinars. You've all seen webinars, and you can join them. You can watch Dreamforce captures and videos. You can go to e-learning sites. Pluralsight, I mentioned that in my microservices presentation. Pluralsight, lynda.com, Udemy, Udacity, and by the way, shameless plug, these things, that funny looking stickers out there on the registration table give you 30 days free Pluralsight to watch all sorts of 7,000 developer courses. 7,000 developer courses, free for 30 days, including some great Salesforce content, and the other sites too. Find a mentor, someone who knows more than you. Maybe they only know more than you about one thing. They're still a mentor. Search online community. We have the forums, the success forums, the Trailblazer forums. We also have Stack Exchange. We have lots of forums. We have LinkedIn. We've got tons of forums. Join local community, obviously, right? Surround yourself with your peers. Start a study group. Start a study group, whether it's in your office or in your neighborhood. Start a study group, or maybe even online. Take a Trailhead Expert class, the classes that my team teaches and that I teach. So there are lots of content sources to learn Salesforce. Attend a conference, aha. You know this because you're here, right? So this is a huge one. So one of the challenges with this is that the volume of Salesforce knowledge content is expanding, like the universe expanding after the Big Bang, because it's supporting an ever-expanding platform. Salesforce is a big bang. It keeps getting bigger, right? Example, these are the release notes from winter 08, 10 years ago. 75 pages. Who knows what winter? 645. You were close. 3 times a year, or something like that, right? This is a challenge. This is a huge challenge because with each release, there's more to learn. So I use an analogy here. I'm very proud of this analogy because it's a visual. This is my analogy of the Salesforce platform. It's an elephant. And the elephant is made up of pieces, represented by the jigsaw pieces. And there's an old riddle, an American riddle. I don't know if it exists in any other language. How do you eat an elephant? Anybody know the answer? 1 bite at a time. 1 bite at a time. Okay, great. So let's do this. Let's pick something to bite off. Your developers, let's go learn the Salesforce platform. We're going to take that nice little chunk of the elephant's right leg. Do they call them paws? Elephants call them leg. Salesforce platform. Let's take Salesforce platform, bite it off. What do you get? Another elephant. There's the platform elephant. Okay, let's keep going. Let's find something to bite off. Well, since we've been talking so much about Lightning components, I really want to be a front-end developer. Let's go bite off Lightning components. What do you get? Another elephant. And so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. I cannot solve this problem for you. Sorry. It is what it is. It's going to get more. But what I can offer you is a suggestion and a process for the suggestion. Minimize your effort with effective knowledge content. What does that mean? That means you're going to have to go learn stuff. It's going to take time and effort, right? Knowledge is a 3. Don't waste your time. Focus on knowledge content that is as effective as possible and as what you need it for, all right? Well, how do you do that? Well, of course, there's a formula for it. And I'll skip the tight variables and we'll just break it down. Maximum knowledge equals the sum of, and these are all sums, minimal presentation, minimal demonstration, maximum explanation, maximum conversation, maximum participation, and maximum iteration, right? And notice that the focus really here is on the maximums, not on the presentation and demonstration, but on the explanation, conversation, participation, iteration. Why? Because these 2 are passive. You sit and you watch. That's very passive. And brain science tells us that it's not that effective. You'll sit there, you'll see it, you'll work, but it's going to go in, you're not going to retain it. If it's active, if you are engaged in these activities, part of the explanation where you're questioning it with conversation and getting sort of a flow going with whoever it is with, plus you're participating, you're doing stuff. Doing is really big. And then you're doing it again and again and again and again. We call that drilling. That's where the active learning is going to happen. You understand it better, and it retains better. It sticks like chewing gum sticks on the bottom of your pant leg when you sit on the chair in the school, right? Now there are two additional, I call them boosters. I'm sorry, there's three. There's three boosters, and you'll notice it's another Boolean expression, max D or max B and max E. All right, well, what are those? And this is being added to the rest of that formula. Maximum knowledge equals that thing we did before plus either maximum breadth or maximum depth, and I'll explain what those are in a minute, and maximum expertise. These are real boosters, right? So breadth of learning means there's a lot of content, the full span of knowledge or subject. It's not deep, but it's very wide. Depth of learning is the extent to which a topic is focused on. Deep dive. Maybe you've heard the term deep dive. I just want to learn about this little narrow thing, but I really, really, really want to learn about it. That's depth. You can't have both. Any particular content is going to be one or the other. And the third, that's why the or is there, and the third is expertise. And I use a little Einstein for this because he was really an expert to write those formulas, right? But that girl's an expert too. Don't forget about that. Expert skill or knowledge of a subject. The thing that you're looking for, whoever it is you're getting it from or whoever created that content, for whatever that is, should have expertise. They may not have expertise in anything else, but they should have expertise in that thing. Avoid trivial content and follow the experts. Save yourself some time because you don't have a lot of it and you've got a lot to learn. Now, I've built a matrix, a content effectiveness matrix. And at the top, I've put these 6 variables: presentation, demonstration, explanation, participation, conversation, and iteration. And down the side, I've put the kind of content, the type of content. Now, what I have not done here is scored these for depth, breadth, or level of experience. Why? Because it's incredibly variable. And it's variable in each one of these content types. And until you get to the content, you don't know what it is. So you have to assess the depth, the breadth, the level of expertise to determine whether or not it's worth it. And you're going to have to learn how to do this if you want to use this. And what I've done is I've identified, based on these content types, which of those variables are applied, and I calculate a score. Now, I want to put a little caveat in here. Some of these are scored lower, some of these are scored higher. All the score means is it includes one or more of the variables. It doesn't mean that it's less valuable, less expertise, or anything like that, or more of a waste of time versus less of a waste of time. It just means that it includes these variables. Okay? We're going to start with docs, books, and posts. Explanation and iteration are the only 2 of my variables that are included there. Explanation, you're reading it, it's explaining it to you. And you can iterate, you can read it again, as much as you want. That's it. There's no presentation, there's no demo, there's no conversation, etc. So I give it a 2. Trailhead, content, modules, trails, etc. It includes participation, but it is nothing more than documentation and then an opportunity to get your hands dirty and try it out and do, which is incredibly powerful. So it has participation. Now, iteration, I give it a half point. Why? You can read it again, but once you've gotten that badge, you can't go get the badge again, unless there's a feature I don't know about where you can revert it. No. Okay. So it's a little higher. Online community. Again, explanation, you're participating, you're posting threaded discussion. You can iterate a little. If you keep asking the same question, they're going to stop talking to you, right? But you can ask it again, you can ask for clarification, but you're not in conversation. You're participating in threaded discussion. It's good, but it's not conversation. Look at YouTube videos. Now again, it depends on, and I'll speed this up because I know the timer just went off. YouTube videos or other videos, you get potentially presentation, demonstration, explanation. Of course, it depends on what it is and who did it and how good it is. You don't get to participate. You don't get any conversation. But you can iterate, you can watch it again. And that's one of the neat things about captures of videos, because you watch it over and over and over and over, or just a piece of it. Webinars, even more. You get all of those, plus you get the potential for iteration if they captured the webinar and you can watch it again. And you get to participate, because usually they've got an online, again, like participating in online community, you can ask questions and then you get your questions answered, but you can't have a conversation. And you can only do it so much, right? A personal mentor, now we're really getting somewhere. Somebody who knows the answers, right? They're not going to present to you, but they might demonstrate or explain. You get to participate, you get to talk about it. That's where the rubber hits the road. When you get to ask the question, to have them clarify what they said, but you don't quite get it, and now they're going to say it a different, that's conversation. That's so powerful. And again, you can only ask them so many times, or they're going to tell you to just go away and leave them alone. E-learning courses. Same thing as YouTube videos, presentation, demonstration, explanation. You usually can't participate. Sometimes there's threaded discussion. You usually can't have conversation, with an interesting exception. Some recorded e-learning is having a conversation. You're listening to a conversation, and this is near and dear to my heart, because this is one of the projects that I've been working on with Pluralsight and what I call my play-by-plays. If you want to talk to me about it, we'll talk to me about it later. You can listen in and participate in a conversation. You just can't ask any questions. And of course, you can watch it over and over again. These are all sort of the same, and these are all maximums, right? Study groups, meetups, community, trailhead expert classes like we teach, live conferences, Punta, right? This is where you get pretty much everything. You can only iterate in the sense that maybe it was recorded, like some of these talks are being recorded. But these are really valuable, okay? So, one of the ways you can maximize each one is by combining them. For example, you could take trailhead content and build a study group around it. So you add the conversation and the explanation with your peers, and you get really engaged in that active type of learning. And you can do that with any of them. It's up to you. You use these, you don't just pick one. You use as many as necessary to learn the thing that you need to learn. Now, that's the formula for success. And we've been focused on the exponent, remember? And the Y stands for you. This formula is you, right? You have to know the opportunity. You have to know your passions. You have to have determination. You have to educate yourselves and go after the knowledge. And that's just the exponent. What is O? Well, O is what I call the X-factor. You know what an X-factor is? This is just a term of art. X-factor has two definitions. The one I'm using is a variable in a given situation that could have the most significant impact on the outcome. So it's not the exponent. I mean, the exponent is very powerful. It creates this exponential synergy. But what are you raising to the power of U? O. Ohana. Now, we talked about Ohana this morning, and we probably mentioned it during the week. And you probably hear about it all the time. Oh, with my Ohana, Hash Ohana, this and that Ohana. And some people, oh, it's a Hawaiian word. Mark Benioff likes Hawaii, and it's Ohana, 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 and it's hype. No, it is not hype. Ohana is the X-factor in the Salesforce world. And I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart, because I have been in the industry for 30 years, and I have worked with multiple platforms. And I am telling you that what makes Salesforce different, in addition to the awesome technology, is the X-factor. It is Ohana. Well, what does Ohana mean? What do I mean by that? Well, that's the definition. But that's like a formula. You got to understand what this means, right? Builds its culture around the spirit of Ohana, Hawaiian word, family. It's our close-knit ecosystem of employees, customers, partners, communities. If you look at the definition, it talks about how everybody is connected even though you're not blood relations, and you have a responsibility to make them okay, successful, whatever. We have success community, we have trailblazer community. It's funny, my slide had the same 4 things that Sophia's slide had on this morning, and I didn't coordinate this with anybody. Nobody has seen this slide deck. This is because it's real. This is real. Why is it the X-factor? Because when you truly participate in the Salesforce Ohana, and it could be online, it could be in a conference, it could be with your workers. You don't have to talk to anybody else. You don't have to talk to customers. They're all part of Ohana. But by interacting with other people in the Salesforce community, whether they're admins and your devs, or whether they're dev to dev, or whether they're this to, it doesn't matter. And it's not just that you're going to learn from them, it's that you're going to share with them. What are you going to share? Your knowledge. That's the big one. Knowledge is the only thing that if you give it away, you end up with more. If I share my lunch with you and I have a sandwich, what do I end up with? Half a sandwich. If I give you my knowledge, I get back something bigger than what I gave away. How? Well, I have to explain it to you. In explaining it to you, there's a couple of quotes here. Seneca, another Greek philosopher of 4 BC, while we teach, we learn. Why do you think most people go into teaching? It's because they want to learn something. You have to truly learn in order to be able to teach. And by teaching, you realize what you don't know, and you have to learn it. And you learn when you give knowledge away because you get back something that you didn't know. When the person is asking you something and you have that conversation, you go, oh yeah, that's right. I learn more from teaching than just from sitting in a class or watching a video or whatever. So this is key. There's an old Christian saying, I believe, it's better to give than receive. Okay, well, I'm not getting into religion. That's religious wars. We're not going there. But it is better to give than receive. Why? Because you get more back. It's purely narcissistic selfishness. You're going to get more back, and so will the person that you're giving to. It has a multiplier effect. That's what Ohana does, and that's what helps create success. So what's the formula for success? Success equals Ohana to the power of you. You might say Ohana raised to the power of you, right? That's the formula for success, and I hope you understand it and can take it away and do something with it. Some key takeaways: identify your goals, target your opportunities, know your passions. So important. Be determined, learn effectively, share with your Ohana. Mahalo.